Well, welcome back. It's week 3. So this week we're going to be looking at strands. Strands are lines of points. So think of them as a two-dimensional polygon. Not quite a curve. Curves are mathematically described. So let me just quickly show you about strands. We'll just create a graph. Probably the easiest way to get a strand into Bifrost is to draw a curve in Maya. So we go to our curve tools. Let's get our pencil tool. Let's draw something on there. And as always, middle click and drag. And you've got a curve. I can hide this one. No longer there. Let's output the strand and let's just give it a little bit of display goodness as we've done before. There's our strand as we've drawn it. Let's just turn this back on for a second and see what we can see. So you can see that the green line is the curve that we drew and the black line is our Bifrost strand. They don't seem to match. What's all that about? Well, if we were to take a look at this curve and go to its control vertex, you can see where these points are. What you're getting is a very low-res representation of the curve you've drawn in Maya. Grab this curve and we'll just go to Curve Tools and rebuild it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take its degree from cubic down to linear. So now you can see, if I hide that curve, it's matching the Bifrost curve, and that's the difference we've got. So as the curve stands at the moment, it's being interpolated as a cubic curve, which means it's a cubic spline, or a cubic Bezier, and it's putting all those curves in. Why am I going on about this? Well, it would be nice if the Bifrost curve matched. And this is the main difference between curves. Let me just lift this guy up a little bit, translate some points. As we do, quickly set that to float 3 so I can just quickly manually enter some things in, and we'll lift that up by 1. So this is a curve. It has interpolation on it. It makes it smooth. What we've got here is a line. It's a line with points on it. If I wanted to show you that a bit better, the point scope, we'll run that out as well. And you can see those are the points that make up that line. The strand is not a curve. It is a two-dimensional polygon. It has a start point and an end point, and points in between, and a structure that builds the line in between it. All this is wonderful explanation, I know, but none of it is getting to how do we make this look like this. If you go to your input node, you have a curve interpolation here. Just grab that up a bit. You can sample that curve 3 different ways. You can sample the CVs, control verts. So now, again, if I go to this guy, you can see that those control vertices are matching up. Okay. So that's now the control vertices for the curve. So if I move this one, you can see that the curve is moving and the Bifrost curve is moving. I have the curve's control vertex selected. You can linear sample by length, which is going to give you the length of the curve with and a target segment length, which I can make bigger or I can make smaller. Or we go back to default, which is segment multiplication. Now all I have to do is start pushing up this number, and now you can see if I go to my top view, the curves are pretty much spot on. Tiny little differences, but that's about it. So when you bring your curve in, you can do this. And it'll get you the same. I mean, this will get you a lot more points in your curve, but it will get you the same curvature as the curve, or at least close to. I'm going to drop that to 8, maybe even drop it to 5, and still hugging the input curve pretty well. So that's that. A couple of other things we need to talk about real fast. Let's hide this curve again. We're left with our strand. What can we do with strands just straight out of the box? Well, first off is color. So we know about assigned diagnostic material. If I just change this to a float 3, and I can start changing the color of this. So let's get this to a nice green. There you go. That's color. How about if I want to see a shape, set Strand's shape? Now you've got 2 options here. Ribbon is the default. So you can change the width of the ribbon, like this, and you can align it to the screen. So right now it's all aligned up along the y-axis. If you turn that on, it's just going to point at the camera. And you'll be able to see what you're seeing. Let's just get rid of these translate points for a second. Cool. You've also got wire, which is going to get you back to this. Tube here isn't quite working at the moment, so I just stick with wire or ribbon. If I want to see some thickness, I'll put in a ribbon. That's cool. What about the size? Well, each of these are points. I can look at the attributes I have on my points, and right now I have point position, point ratio, point tangent. Those are going to help me, but not much there to say size, so why don't we add a point size with a set geo property. all I have to do is make sure that is called point size. Everything disappears because right now there's no data coming in, which means the point size is 0. If I have a value of, say, 0.25, then I'm going to get this back, and now I can change. Now I have a control that controls the thickness of my ribbon. Awesome. What you can also do, and you guys have seen me do this before, I'm just going to do it real quick now. Point count, resize an array, so based on that point count, and we'll make this 0.25. Let's plug this in instead. It's going to give me exactly the same result as that. So factor noise field, what I'm going to need is a sample field, like that, because that's how I get the field to come and become a value for me. So let's pop that in there. Going to need my point positions, like so. I'm going to sample at the point positions, and then I'm going to plug this into here, and you can see what's happening. So you can put in a single number, you can put in an array of a single number, you can sample a field and put it in. You can start changing the frequency, changing the magnitude, and this way you can start doing randomness on your fields. Number of frequencies, and don't forget this is the size, so it's not affecting the path of the curve, just the thickness of it. Those are the real basics, so let's just kill that for now. So we've got point size, which is going to control the thickness of the ribbon. What shape it is. Now if I change this to wire, all of that thickness is going to go away, you're not going to get it, but you will still get the attribute point size. Okay, and color, diagnostic material, all good.